Hi, everybody. After I talked about the 2013 movie Enemy, I also want to talk about another movie from the same year with the same subject. Actually, the movie is almost identical. The Double. And just like in those movies where there is a doppelganger, I feel like those movies are also doppelgangers of themselves. Uh, they're really almost identical. A lot of people say that, oh, well, they're very different. No, I think they're pretty much the same, and I feel they complement each other. Because The Double was very much the kind of movie I was expecting the Enemy to be. Well, actually, it is, and I feel they complement each other. I said that in order to understand Enemy, you have to watch it multiple times. You can either do that, or you can just watch The Double after you watched Enemy, because I feel, or actually maybe actually the other way around. Maybe you should watch The Double first and then Enemy. Well, it doesn't really matter, but I feel that the movies complement each other, and they help. They help to understand. They help you understand what they are about. If you watch both movies, it will be easier for you to figure out what those movies are about. And I feel, at least that's my interpretation. I feel, having watched both, I feel that they're actually about the exact same thing, and they're both based on a book that's called The Double, but it's actually not the same book. It's both called the same, but it's not the same book. But it's really is a double. This movie and the book is a double of itself. Yeah, and a lot of people say Enemy contains some dystopian elements, and well, they are hinted at when you look at what he's saying, what the protagonist is saying when he's giving his lecture. It is hinted at that he talks about totalitarian societies and stuff like that, but that's about all. It's just hinted at in his lecture. The society we see in the movie itself it doesn't strike me as totalitarian. It just seems to be Canada. But in The Double, we actually see a totalitarian society. And this is funny, it's because Enemy talks about a totalitarian society, whereas The Double doesn't talk about a totalitarian society, but it shows you a totalitarian society. Whereas Enemy just talks about a totalitarian society, but doesn't show you a totalitarian society. So this is one example where the two movies kind of complement each other. They also complement each other in other respects, like understanding the movie itself. As I said, I feel it's much easier to understand one of those movies if you have watched the other movie. And actually, in Double, I feel well, it's really similar. It's really similar. Both of those movies are about somebody who discovers his double, but in both cases, it's not really a double. Other people are not really able to see, in both movies, other people are not really able to see that double. The double is only visible to the protagonist. Of course, the way this manifests is a bit different. In Enemy, it's simply that nobody else ever saw the double, or at least nobody else ever saw both people at the same time. The only time in Enemy, the only time they are at the same place at the same time is when they were alone. So, but in double in the double, the two doubles are at the same place at the same time, and there are other people around as well, but the other people don't don't treat them as a double. They don't really seem to see that they are identical to other people. They in a double to the other people. The doubles don't look the same, or it doesn't strike them that they are exact. They are actually exactly the same. It's the same actor in both cases. But other people don't see it that way. They just kind of say, "Oh yeah, well he looks a little similar, maybe now that you mention it," but that's about all. You know, they don't see them as doubles. And well, in both cases, in both movies, it other people don't see that there is a double. It's only the protagonist himself who's aware that there is a double, and actually there is no double in both cases. In both cases it's in his mind. And also I talked before when I talked about Enemy, a major hint, a major clue that it really is the same person, that there is no double, that it is the same person, is when you see that is when you see the scar, is when you see that they both have the exact same scar in the exact same place. And it's the same with the double. With the double, it's even more obvious. With the double, it's not only a scar. With the double, it's injuries. If one of them sustains an injury, the other one sustains the same injury. And this is very obvious in the double. So it's very obvious that they are in fact the same person. And in both cases they represent different personalities, personas of the same person though. I talked about that when I talked about Enemy, so I'm not gonna go into that again. But I feel if you watch them both, it's really worth it, and it's really interesting, especially if you both consider if you consider it as a double of the same movie, and it's really interesting. Both have some aspects that the other is missing, even though both are pretty much the same movie. But it's really interesting. Especially if you watch both of them, I recommend you watch both of them. So I'm not gonna talk about it more. I talked about the meaning and the symbolism. I talked about that when I talked about Enemy, and it's the exact same symbolism in the double.